So I understand that this little lapel mic is probably going to the video recorder back there. So I hope you guys at the back can hear me. You did a good thumbs up earlier. I got another one now. Excellent. Hi everyone, I hope you're still awake. It's difficult to follow these fantastic acts that you guys have been put on. I do have a couple of double slides here, I've noticed. I'll skip those and get to the nice parts later on. But just very briefly, touching on the weird Swedish company with the odd name, SCISS. We have a client in Killeen, Texas, Mayborn Planetarium, Fred Chavez, big lad. He says, SCISS, what kind of name is that? Some kind of rash or something? Which is just priceless for us. It's really a cultural experience to come to the US, some areas. And so the weird name actually stands for Scientific Content for Interactive Systems, Sweden. So that's a mouthful for you. First of all, I'll apologize also for my English. My native language is Swedish. I don't know how many of you follow if I would present on that, so you'll have to bear with me here, okay? So, yeah, my background is as an astrophysicist. I started working at SCISS for almost 5 years ago. I actually called up the CEO because I wanted to work with this company because I had seen some of their software and it just looked quite amazing to be able to work with this and visualize it. I had a background as a teacher as well, teaching upper secondary high school science classes. Yeah, and a master's from Uppsala University. So I figured coming over here, many of you probably don't necessarily know what a planetarium is. I thought, until I saw all of you raising your hands earlier. So I just put this slide in there just with a definition from a British dictionary about what a planetarium is. And this is perhaps a little bit outdated actually about what it is today or what it can be. And you also have a couple of images. This is like the miracle of Jenna, that like Laura was talking about earlier. The first dome that was built and actually visualized the night sky inside a house, which was seen as an engineering feat at that time, 19th century. I believe that the Adler Planetarium in Chicago was the first planetarium in the US. The software that we do today is obviously not projected through one of these optomechanical projectors, but actually similar, well, maybe a little bit bigger projectors than these, but still projector technologies that we stitch together in the dome to create an immersive environment. So later on in this presentation, I'll take you on a little bit of a tour with the software on this little projector on my laptop, and you'll see a little bit about what it is to maybe sit in a modern planetarium today, although you'll only see it on this screen, so you'll have to imagine what it's like to be in a planetarium and actually be immersed in this kind of data. Anyway, this is what a planetarium has looked like, and these are some modern planetariums today. So we have the Aim and Age Planetarium down at the bottom left, and actually Cal Academy of Sciences hosting a Belagai conference on the right. And both of these places are actually has a special heart for us because our company was actually started at the Hayden Planetarium in New York by a couple of internships by engineers who studied visualization. So our mission really is with these digital theaters to inspire kids primarily to pursue science, technology, engineering, arts, maths, all these things that actually adds value to life, so we're not becoming these educated barbarians. Larry Krauss, a famous astrophysicist, says when he has a photo of Hubble on his screen, he says, this image also always fills me with happiness, because Hubble used to be a lawyer and he turned an astronomer. So I apologize for that, but it's an excellent line for that. But that's really what we want to do. So these kind of venues, what we want to do here is to actually inspire and show the universe in its full glory as it actually is, real live data. We think that these planetariums and these museums and science center has a special place today because today information is everywhere. We can pick up our iPad and I can Google pretty much anything and I can figure out a lot of things. Well, maybe except the stuff that NSA has in their databases, but otherwise I can find out a lot of information. But how can we make sense of it, and how can we navigate in a world where all these data is so large? I mean, which data set can I trust, and how do they all combine? I mean, what happens with the Rosetta mission that the European Space Agency just landed yesterday or 2 days ago? How does that influence my normal life? And what we would like to see for many of these venues to actually help interpret these things and tie it together, maybe as performance arts, maybe hands-on, or just have a really good science communicator like Ryan to actually talk about what's happening and why this is relevant for us. We have a couple of really interesting technologies to be able to do this. One of them is called dome casting. I'll just show you. This is actually like a more modern kind of planetarium today, where you would, this is an installation we have in Japan. So this is what the software and what we could do. We're standing on the cusp here really of doing much more in the planetariums than just doing astronomy. And I'm saying that as an astrophysicist. I think we'll always do astronomy and astrophysics in the planetarium, but we can do so much more. So with capable tools, we can visualize, for example, the images that you see here. The lower bottom one is from New York Times Square just last week. So UniView is actually, the software that we're doing is actually synced on all the screens in Times Square to show neurological data in a collaboration that we're doing with Rockefeller University in New York, or Dr. Jonathan Fisher. And this will become available as a live presentation later on, probably early next year. It actually cheat premiered a bit at Cal Academy of Sciences on, I think, June 28, when Dr. Jonathan Fisher was there to premiere a bit of his data sets for that. And now it's also available in Times Square. That's just fantastic for us. The other things that we can do is to stream live data from different venues around the world, or from different servers. So we have 3 installations with NASA already, and I was over at Kennedy Space Center just earlier this week, actually, and looking at maybe making installation with our software and revamping one of their IMAX theaters and do more live presentations there. And what we can do then is basically connect to some of the NASA-hosted servers and download data sets from yesterday, satellite data, for example, or whatever it might be. Actually, Cal Academy is very good at sharing the data sets that they procure themselves to the wider community. So we're basically trying to build all these planetariums around the world together into one community where we can share data and experiences. The other things that are really interesting with this is that we also have a technology called, we call it dome casting, which allows for one planetarium to kind of control, right now, up to 7 other planetariums, so 8 planetariums in total, and actually having the same kind of visuals in the background, or in the entire dome, actually. So Brent here, for example, might control a planetarium and at the same time do outreach to planetariums in Ghana or in Hamburg or in Moscow, which also shares the same platform. And why is that important? Well, first of all, if you're actually having a performance here, that might actually be directly transferable to other planetariums, which is in itself a great advantage. We're actually given a grant by the Swedish government about a year and a half ago to actually develop this into a 2.0 version, which is due out next year. So this is something that we really believe in, and I think it has the future for it. One of the really cool things, you mentioned the Navajo Indians are engaged in this project. There was actually a dome cast between over, I think, 4 different continents. We had Africa, Europe, North America, and South America, and actually having cultural exchange where we had different constellations from different cultures, and basically talking what they meant for different indigenous people. Very, very cool. This is an image from a planetarium in Japan. So our Japanese partner is also always tweaking and developing our software. He actually has access to the source code, one of the few people who does. So he has a live camera in Alaska, I believe, and it's actually showing footage from Alaska inside his dome. So this is actually a live footage from an aurora, as it's shown in Alaska, inside the dome. This is our home dome in Norrköping in Sweden. That's actually the small town where I was born, about 100,000 people. And I'm very happy that this planetarium or this visualization theater is there. It was never there when I was a kid. It's opened, I think, 7 years ago, something like that. This is an installation from Austria at Ars Electronica, and again, this is performance. So this is actually not a planetarium. It's a flat screen and it's a projection on the floor as well, but it's in 3D. So the audience is basically sitting back and they're seeing a very large screen, pretty much like a flat IMAX screen, and then also a projection on the floor. So it's not quite as compelling as in a planetarium, but if you're using 3D, you're picking up these glasses anyway, so you're losing the peripheral vision. So the idea here is that you'll get the 3D and the depth by using the glasses anyway. And finally, these are a couple of these beautiful Bella Gaia performances that also Ryan spoke a little bit earlier about. So that probably kind of concludes what I would like to share about in the kind of PowerPoint setting. So what I'd like to do now, if technology allows me, is to actually take on a little bit of a journey and actually do the full control of this from my iPad.